setting and communicating boundaries. Creating healthy boundaries is important for feeling confident and keeping positive connections with others. But on the flip side, having unhealthy boundaries can lead to feeling too dependent, anxious, or even depressed. So before you set boundaries, it's helpful to think about your relationships and where you might need to make some changes. If you find yourself feeling resentful or upset about something, it's probably a sign that you need to set a boundary. And when you're setting boundaries, aim to be clear, firm, and respectful. You don't need to apologize for looking out for yourself. Remember, it's your job to communicate respectfully. That is what you are responsible for. But it's not your responsibility how others will react. That is their responsibility. They're responsible for that. But it is your job to communicate respectfully. That is being responsible to others. But not your job how they react back. That is their responsibility to you. Remember, it's your job to communicate respectfully, but it's not your responsibility how others will react. If someone keeps ignoring your boundaries, you might need to have a tough conversation with them or consider ending the relationship if it keeps on happening. But how do we do this? It's a journey to set boundaries. But here's a few key ways that really help. So first up, recognize what's mine to carry and what isn't. If it's someone else's reaction, belief, or choice, it's not my burden. Then secondly, setting boundaries with clarity. Don't over-explain what you're saying no or yes to. Simply say, thank you for thinking of me, but I'm not available for that. Don't over-explain. Then let go of expectations. Instead of wishing people were different, focus on who you are becoming. Intentionally, not selfishly, self-absorbed, but intentionally. This is who I'm going to be, regardless of whether you're going to come to the party or not. And focus on how you want to behave in a situation, not on how they want you to behave. And then fourth, lastly, own your energy. Not everything requires a response. Choose your engagements. Choose your battles. Okay. So let's look at 7 steps to effectively set boundaries. The first one is to prioritize. Figure out what's really important to you. Recognize what gives you energy and what drains you. Understand that when you say yes to something, you are saying no to something else. And know that if you're going to prioritize, you're saying yes to something but no to something else. And people are not going to like it. Some people are going to be upset about it. And then it's important to know that you prioritized it because it was important to you, to not give in and let them convince you to not say yes for yourself again, to let your boundaries go. So make space for what truly matters in your life. Ask yourself, prioritize. Why am I getting involved with that? What is it really that I'm wanting there? Is it approval of others, being known, being seen? Do I really want to do that? Do I really have the capacity to do that? But if I say yes, my yes must be my yes, and I need to think about it. Okay. You might recognize that spending time with family energizes you, while working long hours drains you. So make sure to prioritize family over taking on extra work. The second step after prioritizing is to pause. Just to stand back, pause and think. Before you agree to something or make a decision, take a moment to pause. Think about whether you genuinely want to agree or if you're just afraid of disappointing others or of their reaction if you don't. For example, when a friend asks you to help them move on short notice, you pause and think about whether you have the time and energy to commit to it and what it's going to cost you. What is the consequences of you cutting off that time? Or are you just feeling pressured to say yes because that's what somebody else or that's what they expect you to do? You can respectfully allow them to take responsibility for their own lack of planning by saying, I'm unable to help you, but I can share the number of the moving company that helped me previously. They did a great job. And also, I would be happy to provide you with some dinner so you don't have to stress about food. So it's not that we are letting people loose. We are doing what we can, but not doing things for them, not rescuing them, right? They need to feel the consequences. And hey, sometimes it is your sister or it's a very close friend and you help out. And you say, okay, I'll come with my bucky and I'll help you move. But then it's out of choice, okay? Choice. Next, be direct. Be direct. So important. When setting boundaries, we need to be direct. It might feel awkward, but being honest and straightforward is crucial for a healthy relationship. It's better to say no up front, even if it disappoints someone, than to agree and feel resentful later. Remember, if someone gets upset because you're setting boundaries, that's their problem, not yours. Keep it simple and don't over-explain. Be direct. For example, your coworker asks you to take on an extra project, but you know you're already stretched thin. Instead of agreeing and feeling overwhelmed later, you politely decline by saying, I appreciate the offer, but I have too much on my plate right now. And then be clear. Make sure your yes and no answers are clear and easy to understand. Clear communication is key to setting and keeping boundaries. For example, when your colleague asks if you can stay late to help them with a project on short notice, you can respond clearly. I won't be able to stay late today, but I can assist you during work hours tomorrow. And then be polite. Remember, we are responsible to others, respectful, polite, okay? They are worthy to be spoken to politely and respectfully. Remember that. We are equal, humble, okay? Respect the other person's feelings while still sticking to your limits. Remember, you're not rejecting them as a person. You're just setting boundaries for how they may treat you or what you're going to allow to make use of your time and energy. You're not responsible for how they react emotionally. Important, politely say no and use I messages instead of blaming or criticizing with you messages. Do not just say, you never do this, so now then I end up needing to help you. Yeah, that's not being polite. So polite and respectful is keep to I messages. I'm unfortunately not available to help you right now. I will be able to give you a few hours tomorrow, for instance. Or, for example, a family member asks you to host a last-minute gathering at your home, but you scheduled something else. Instead of making excuses like, oh, no, that cannot happen, or, the cat is sick or whatever, you can just decline clearly and politely. I really appreciate the invite, but I won't be able to host this time. I really hope you have a wonderful time. And this response keeps it warm and respectful while maintaining your boundary. And then a very important one. Setting boundaries is about accepting the discomfort that comes with it. It can be tough, but it's necessary. So have the courage to recognize and remember that boundaries protect your emotions, values, and dreams. Remember, it's going to be uncomfortable, so remind yourself why you're doing it. Understand how important they are for a healthy life. Remind yourself that may motivate you to face the discomfort. Remember, you're responsible for how you respond, not for others. Allow and let them take responsibility for themselves. And you're going to have to sit on your hands, literally, and not to rescue them from the consequences of their boundary violation or them not stepping up. And it might be uncomfortable. Or another example is a friend frequently calls late at night to vent about their problems for hours on end, leaving you feeling exhausted and unable to do anything else for yourself. And you finally set a boundary by saying, I do care about you and I really want to support you. Yet I need to use this time constructively also for myself and I need to rest. Can we perhaps talk during daytime or at another time? At first you might feel guilty for saying no, but then remind yourself that prioritizing your well-being is necessary for a healthy relationship. And then last but not least, embrace the nourishing activities. When you say no to certain things, you are saying yes to other things. You are able to prioritize. So use the extra time to do the activities that make you happy and align with your priorities. Fully enjoy these activities to get the most out of them. Understand that boundaries help you stay true to yourself and prevent you from losing yourself in other people's demands. Now, for example, after saying no to working late, you spend and enjoy the evening having extended time and relaxed dinner with your family, enjoying the quality time without distractions. And now finally, we want to communicate and assert boundaries. Being assertive means clearly stating what you want and where your limits are without being pushy or aggressive or getting angry. It's a positive way to speak up for yourself and for others, even when things get tough. Assertive people feel less stressed and handle their feelings without getting too angry or too passive. And sometimes when we're feeling unsure, not very confident, we might act passively or aggressively. So remember, if you see passivity or aggression, it's probably because somebody's feeling unsure or not very confident. But that's not the best way to deal with others. Being assertive means speaking up confidently about what you think and feel, while also respecting the other people's thinking and feeling. Being assertive involves clearly saying what you think and feel in a straightforward and honest way, standing up for yourself while also being respectful of others. And then also looking out for yourself without feeling anxious or guilty, expressing your feelings comfortably, and understanding that you have rights while also considering the rights of others. Let's consider a situation of Debra. Debra's patience is beginning to wear thin with her colleague Ronan. A few days earlier, he had undermined her yet again, this time in front of other colleagues during the weekly team meeting. So she decided to tell him how he made her feel. But just as she was about to approach him, she lost her nerve. Ronan made similar comments again yesterday. And once again, Debra felt humiliated and frustrated at his inability to see the effect that his comments had. But she still couldn't bring herself to speak to him about it. And she feels cross with herself, but resigned to the situation. Can you relate to Debra? Like her, you might have felt unable to do anything about it. But by learning how to be more assertive, you can stand up for yourself, establish healthy boundaries, and become a strong and confident communicator. Debra can start by practicing direct and assertive communication with Ronan in a respectful yet firm manner. There are 3 steps to assert your boundaries. First up, clearly state the issue. Say it what it is. Express what happened and how it made you feel in a straightforward and honest way. Secondly, communicate what you expect moving forward. I would like us to be able to work together. Right? For instance, I do not like to be dismissed. It feels that my voice isn't heard and respected. I would like us to be able to work together and everyone's opinion to be heard. And then remain respectful and professional. Address the concern calmly, without aggression or passivity, while acknowledging the other person's perspective. Let's continue with the example of Debra to see what she could do. So next time Ronan makes an undermining comment, Debra can respond immediately, or she can respond later on one-on-one. So she can respond immediately in a calm and a composed way. She could say, Ronan, when you make comments like that in front of others, it undermines my contributions and makes me feel disrespected. I would really appreciate it if we could discuss concerns privately instead. In front of the group. That would be good. For somebody like Ronan, who is continuously dismissed in the meeting, it might be good to address it in the meeting. But not everybody's up for that, and that's okay. Alternatively, if she prefers, like yourself, to address it one-on-one with somebody, then go do it. Take the courage to have that one-on-one. And Debra can say and approach him and say, Ronan, during the last 2 meetings, you made comments that felt dismissive of my contributions. And I value teamwork, and I'd really like us all to communicate in a way that respects both our perspectives. How can we move forward? By doing this, Debra is using the 3 steps on how to assert boundaries. She clearly stated the problem, what happened and how it made her feel. You undermined my contribution and made me feel disrespected. She asserted the boundary, what she expects moving forward. That is, I really value teamwork and would like us all to communicate in respectful ways so that both perspectives can be heard. And she remained respectful and professional while addressing the concern calmly and directly. This approach will help her build confidence and set a precedent for healthy workplace interactions. As an important note, if you are dealing with someone who is physically dangerous or threatening to you, it may not be safe to attempt to set explicit boundaries with them. And if you are in that situation, it can be helpful to work with a counselor, a therapist, or an advocate to create a safety plan, and boundary setting may be part of this. Also, sometimes people are very volatile. And you might not be able to do the 3 steps all the way. For instance, setting the boundary as to what we want to do differently next time. For instance, I value teamwork and would really like us all to be heard. That person is perhaps not ready to hear that, or you're not ready to go that far. All you can do is just to say what's happening and how it makes you feel and leave. Okay, for instance, somebody screaming and yelling and being very aggressive. You can say, I am not wanting you to speak to me like that, and I won't tolerate it anymore. And you leave. So if that's the only thing you can do, then we start there. Please continue to the session notes and complete the homework activity. Thank you.